About this, Republican Congressman Andy Barr of Kentucky. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us today. So from your viewpoint, where do things stand this morning?
Well, President Trump's engagement yesterday was absolutely critical, and only President Trump could have brought the level of unity that we have right now. I credit the president's involvement, his proactive involvement, and this legislation is transformational. It is historic. And for the life of me, I don't know why anyone, Democrat or the grandstanders, would vote against this bill. I think it's political suicide. Voting against this bill is voting for a $4 trillion tax increase. It's voting for increases on taxes on middle-income Americans. It's voting for tax increases on tips, tax increases on overtime. It's voting to decrease the standard deduction. It's voting to decrease the child tax credit. So voting for this legislation is voting for the largest tax cut in American history, and it will be jet fuel for the American economy. So I think it's very politically perilous for anyone to vote against, to vote no on this bill. I'm a hard yes, because this bill will turn our economy around, and the president has been key in bringing the conference together to this point. I think we're going to pass the bill tonight.
And we will see on that. There's a lot of clearly conversations going on behind the scenes right now. But one thing that we did hear from some Republicans coming out of the meeting is that the president did not convince them to be on board. They are still concerned that the votes are not there. Let me play this.
The president, I don't think, convinced enough people that the bill is adequate the way it is.
I couldn't vote for this bill right now. I mean, it grows deficit spending right now. So it does raise the debt limit. We need to do that. But it doesn't cut spending.
I ran on balancing the budget. I don't know that I can sleep at night if I don't stick to that.
I would say that if the vote were held right now, it dies a painful death.
How do you address the concerns over how much this costs and how much this adds to the deficit? Is it even possible to allay those concerns at this point?
Well, look, first of all, the CBO score is wrong. The CBO has been wrong repeatedly. It was wrong when it projected budget surpluses with the Inflation Reduction Act, the Green New Deal. It was wrong by almost $500 billion. It was wrong when they scored the first Trump tax cuts. They were wrong by over $1 trillion. Why? Because the CBO doesn't do this scoring dynamically. And what we know about this bill is it's jet fuel for the economy.
You said that the CBO, but Congressman, you say the CBO is wrong, but you have your fellow Republicans are concerned because the CBO is the only nonpartisan scorekeeper that Congress has, and I have seen and I have highlighted over the years in covering Congress how lawmakers on both sides of the aisle lean on the CBO when it is to their benefit and say what you just said when it is not to their benefit. So it is definitely used in a partisan way, though it is a nonpartisan arm, and their duty is to score these things. So you have Republicans in your conference who do not agree with you and who are very concerned about this adding $3.8 trillion to the deficit.
Well, it won't. It won't. And I'll tell you why, Kate, because this is jet fuel for the economy. We will never get our debt and deficit under control. We will never balance the budget if we don't have robust economic growth. We have to grow this economy so fast, and I think with this bill we will grow our economy over 4% GDP because of the massive stimulus that it will provide. We will never balance the budget if we do not grow the economy, and this bill will grow our economy so fast that what we owe starts to shrink relative to the overall size of the economy. With the other policies that we're putting into place, including...
The concern with some of your colleagues, though, is that what you're looking at is 10 years out. And y'all might not even be in Congress 10 years from now. And a lot can change, as we can see, in a matter of 4. So one of the things, though, I want to ask you about from the CBO is in this analysis, it does say that in 2027, 2 years from now, the bill's combination of tax cuts and spending cuts is going to decrease the household resources of the bottom 10% of households by 2%. while increasing resources for the top 10% of households by 4%. So the wealthy will see an increase in resources. The least wealthy will see a decrease. You might not believe it, but
again,
are you
wrong,
concerned
wrong,
when that
wrong,
is?
Wrong.
I understand you think that is wrong. But let me ask you a question.
Let me tell you what the facts are.
The Congressional
Kate, let me tell you what the facts are.
And
the
you have
Congressional Budget Office is wrong.
Congressman,
Kate,
I understand. Let me ask my question. Let me ask my question about it.
Let me explain.
I understand,
Sure.
but I'm going to ask the question
wrong.
first. I'm going to ask the question real quick first. And I'm not really here to get in a fight. I want people at home to be able to hear us. You think it is wrong. You have Republican colleagues who this is what is concerning them and why they are not, right now, they are not a yes vote. So if you have fellow Republicans who are concerned that this is what they are going to have to face questions on going home, does that not give you any pause about what the result of this could be for you?
No, in fact, I see more unity today, this morning, than ever before, and we are going to pass the bill. A lot of those concerns have been allayed with some of the last-minute changes and because of the president's engagement. But the reality is that if we don't pass the bill, this is a $1,700 tax increase for the average family. In Kentucky, for a family of four that earns $61,000 a year, if we don't pass the bill, it's a $1,200 tax increase. That is not.
Is that based on the Congressional Budget Office?
This is not a tax cut for the wealthy. Kate, let me tell you something. The top rate on the wealthiest Americans today is 37%. After we pass this bill, the top rate on the wealthiest Americans will be 37%. It's the same. The tax cut is targeted for the middle income of Americans and for small businesses. If we don't pass this bill, small Main Street businesses, pass-through entities will face a 23% tax increase. This is the largest tax cut in American history, and it's targeted to Main Street businesses, families. Families with kids will face a $500 tax increase. Those are middle-income families with kids. If we don't pass the bill, this expands the standard deduction by $2,000. It expands the child tax credit by $500
so here's a question.
For
with
middle-income
all of those
Americans.
Things you're listing out.
All of this analysis about all of this analysis about this not being targeted to the lower and middle-income Americans is just a lie. It's totally false.
Something
helps,
important there.
This helps average Americans.
Something important there. You said the last-minute changes. Would you support not pushing this through and voting on this today and giving this more time so you can explain all of these changes and maybe get more analysis so people can understand the actual impact of it?
No, Kate, no. This is spin that's not correct. The bill worked through regular order, 12 different committees, the Ways and Means Committee, the Energy and Commerce Committee. The vast majority of the bill is done. There were two changes that are happening in a manager's amendment today that everyone is aware of that's bringing everybody together. And the president yesterday, his engagement was essential to bringing the SALT caucus on board, and the deal is done there, and bringing some of the Freedom Caucus members there as well. Remember, you cannot balance the budget, and this is my argument to some of my friends, and I'm a fiscal hawk as well. I understand as a member of the Financial Services Committee that the Moody's downgrade is a big deal and that we need to send a virtuous signal to investors in the Treasury market. That's why we need growth. Yes, we need fiscal discipline. Of course we do. That's why we need a rescissions package to codify some of the DOGE changes. That's why we need more reforms in spending. And we need to reverse some of the overspending that caused the inflation crisis under the Biden administration.
Okay.
But we have to have economic growth. This bill is jet fuel for the American economy. And if we don't do it, anyone who votes against this bill, whether you're a grandstander or a Democrat who votes against this bill, is voting for a $4 trillion tax increase, a tax increase on 68% of Americans. To me, that's political suicide. Credit the president for this one big, beautiful bill, which is going to save the country and put us on a rocket trajectory for the economy.
Congressman Andy Barr, thanks for coming in. We'll see what happens today.
Thank you.